Now imagine being in a state where things are so effortless. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours go by like this, and you are just focusing on that one task, and your brain is going whammy, and you have this ability to access infinite creative potential. Now, that is basically flow state. Now, flow state happens when your body and your mind are in complete unison. Now, what I mean by that is, now imagine you have to complete a task and you are, procrastinating. Like, okay, I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week, next month. And finally, you kind of sit down to do that task and you have all these insane distractions. And even if you cut out all of these distractions, you are unable to focus on it. You're unable to get it done. And you're like, oh my God, where's my focus? Where's my concentration? And then, suddenly, you're doing something really random. It may be one of your hobbies, some passions. I know that you have this feeling, that you have had this feeling. You kind of sit down, and then immediately 10, 11, 12 hours just go by, and you've got so much work done. And you're like, oh my God. And then you just wake up, look at the time. 12 hours have gone by. And you were not hungry, you were not distracted, and you literally were present in the moment. And things just felt like you were Neo from the Matrix, finally understanding the meaning of life. You're like, what the hell just happened? I just completed all of this and I did not get distracted. And now that is basically flow state. And you have already experienced this. Sometimes, even while you were watching a movie, while you're watching your favorite TV show, you binge watch 10, 11, 12 episodes, and it doesn't feel like time is passing by. Now imagine if you could replicate this flow state whenever you want it, wherever you want it. That would be a superpower because most of the times, right, you have this access to this flow state, but sometimes you are unable to tap into it. It's like these superpowers which you are unable to use all the time. Now, how do you actually access flow state all the time? Number one is by practice. And of course, this kind of sounds pretty obvious, but still, when you practice this a lot, you still tend to find yourself in roadblocks where you are unable to access this ultimate flow state. And you have this kind of blockage that comes on the inside because you can do all the practice in the world. There are going to be some blockages that comes from the inside. Now, this is very internal. That is why you have to do the internal work, because flow state is basically you accessing into your childlike wonder or childlike state. Imagine, just go back when you were a kid, all right? Life was basically majorly in flow states. You had multiple flow states over and over again. Let's say you were 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. All these years, you could stay in this flow state. I mean, just look back on all the memories that you had. You were so free, living in the moment. You were not worried about your past. You were not thinking about the future. You were just being present in the moment. That is why, they say colors are brighter when you were younger. And life was much more better when you were a kid. It's not that life is not better now. Life is still better, but it's your inability to stay in the present moment. It's like your mind kind of wanders. It always goes back to the past. Oh my God, that happened yesterday. That happened like 2 years ago. That happened like 4, 5, 6 years ago. And then your mind wanders to the future. Now, the reason why your mind starts to wander here and there just when you become an adult, and it did not happen while you were a kid. I mean, of course it happened, but you had more control of this flow state. You were able to achieve all of these flow states better as a kid than as an adult. It's because all of that, things that come up from the inside, which is caused because of certain series of events that were happened in your life that kind of made you feel, unsafe. Now, what I mean by here is your body, your mind does not prioritize all this intellectual pursuit. All right. The number one priority for your mind and your body is to survive, is survival. Hear that again. The number one priority for your mind and body is survival. It does not care about all these intellectual activities. It does not care about flow states. It does not care about all these academics, career, etc. Number one need that you have is survival. And as a kid, if you did not feel safe, guess what? That would be the number one priority for your mind and body. And if there was a series of events that made you feel unsafe, that made you feel not worthy, that made you feel like you were in danger, for example, let's say you were in a really stressful household, or let's say in your classroom, the teacher literally shouted at you, calling you an idiot. Guess what? You felt threatened because as a kid, your home and school are, are your entire world. Those are the only places that you know. And if you don't feel safe in these places, guess what? Your body will prioritize survival over anything else. And if you see, right, if you're not performing right after high school, and if you see kids who are kind of distressed and who are behaving a certain way in school, it is just them subconsciously releasing the trauma that they have gone through. And you're like, why aren't these kids able to focus? Why am I not able to focus? Because your body prioritizes survival. And once when you've survived that situation, let's say, for example, you did not receive unconditional love. Love was given to you through fulfilling some check boxes. Let's say you did that, okay, you receive love. Okay, I did this, mom was happy, I did this, dad is happy, and now I get what I want. If that is the case, your brain will start looking to fulfill all these conditions on the inside in order to receive love. And once it has, done this circus, just playing the circus in order to just receive the basic need of love, guess what? Now the body, like it has performed under a very stressful situation, and finally, when it kind of feels safe, it kind of releases all the trauma. And then when you sit down to focus on any creative endeavor, any task, you're unable to focus because your body just wants to let go of it. Your body just wants to, heal, or finally feel safe. And now you are putting more pressure in order to get into this flow state and have this intellectual or creative pursuit. And guess what? Your body is not going to accept, your brain is not going to accept that. So a very easy way to get into flow state is not try to get into flow state. All right, it's like your mind already knows what it has to do. Your subconscious brain is really powerful. Right? You don't need any magic pill, you don't need any technique in order to get into flow state. All you have to do is let go of that internal baggage, internal trauma that you have, and eventually, your brain will start prioritizing or allocating all the resources to flow states, to intellectual creative pursuits, because all this time your brain was allocating resources for survival. And if you were not in a place where you felt safe, if you were not in a place where you felt just at whole, at ease, guess what? That was a priority. And now when you start doing the internal work, start letting go of all this trauma, guess what? Your brain will finally feel safe. Your body and your subconscious mind will feel safe. And finally, you can allocate resources for you to be productive, for you to start your intellectual endeavor. And it is weird, all right? It was just when I started letting go of all the trauma that I had, suddenly my brain started picking up so much information from my environment. It's like I unlocked a superpower, right? I was easily able to get into flow states, easily learn a lot of new things. And now it was not like, I did this hack, this magic pill. All I did was let go of the trauma. As a kid, my environment did not allow me to live in the present moment. All right. If you are in a stressful environment, guess what? Your brain will start wandering here and there. It is not living in the present moment. It's looking for all possible ways to survive from the situation. So once I started letting go, doing the inner work, I eventually quit my addiction to alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, and eventually I was able to live in the present moment. And meditation was a great practice because it allows you to get, just process your thoughts, let your thoughts pass by, and eventually help you learn how to, navigate and control your emotions and thoughts and kind of let go of it. So once I started doing that, I eventually could unlock flow states. And it's pretty much easy for me because there's no trauma that's kind of blocking me. There's no kind of trauma. Of course, it's not like you can be 100% free from trauma. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of trauma, but it's not going to hold the same amount of weightage it holds. Like your brain shifts from survival to thriving. I was in survival mode. Now my consciousness, the brain kind of shifted like, hey, you're safe now. Finally, you can allocate resources for learning, for development, for creative pursuits, academic pursuits. And that's what happened. I did not take any magic pill. You don't need to do all these techniques. All you need to do is let go of the pain, heal your younger self, and eventually you will unlock this amazing flow state whenever, wherever you want. And it's just basically like having superpowers.